Today's video is brought to you by the novel 9/10.
Hey America, I'm Christopher Green. This is Green Wave Radio Live, hard-hitting and in your face. I want to thank all of you for joining us as usual. Greenwave.com, AMTVmedia.com, and of course our syndicate, American Freedom Radio. Please give them a shout. Visit their website as well. Big news today. Hillary Clinton turns gay. Turns out she was only half lesbian before. Now she's full-blown lesbian. Flip-flops. Now supports gay marriage when she only supported, or at least said she kind of supported in her 2008 bid for the presidency, what she called civil unions. Didn't support gay marriage. Then, when she was running, because it was, well, politically incorrect to do so, she had an election to win. Hey, what's a little integrity to go out the window? But now, since the polls are up on gays, and nothing against gays, but now that, gay marriage and gay pride is popular, she's flip-flopping over to that side. You know, when it's convenient to be anti-gay, she'll be anti-gay. When the polls say the American people do not and disapprove of gay marriage, well, then Hillary Clinton, she's the biggest gay basher out there, man. I mean, she hates gay people. But when the polls change, and at the drop of a hat, she notices it's a little bit more of a popularity contest on the gay side, and it might, well, quite frankly, help her chances in 2016. So she can put her little bitch husband, Bill Clinton, who's more concerned about shoving a cigar up Monica Lewinsky's schwang. She's going to flip-flop over to the gay pride side now. So now she's pro-gay. She's pro-lesbian, pro-bisexual. She's pro-transgender. She's pro, I don't know. I mean, if it's popular to marry a horse in the coming months, she'll be pro-gay horses. In fact, she'll be pro-gay horses actually mating together. If some guy comes out and it's popular, he wants to date a washing machine and make love to it, and that's just how he feels, then she'll, support that as well, as long as it's in the polling. See, there is no integrity in politics anymore. It's just about really, kind of like the mob, who you can kill to get out of the way, and then who you can kind of use, manipulate to your advantage, and then how you can kind of weigh that in on the American dumbasses that we like to call the sheeple. We throw that, term around a lot. So it's all about, manipulation and just kind of flip-flopping here and there, whatever popular at the time, so she can go ahead and, seed herself as the drama queen liberal in 2016. The next best thing since tyranny dictator President Barack Obama. Of course, these people are in cahoots with each other. They're responsible for the murder of innocent Americans. Hillary Clinton has blood personally on her hands. I mean, her and her husband have been whacking people in Washington political opposition for years now. So this is no new news. I mean, hey, the saying, to get anywhere in life, you got to drive that knife into the back of your friend's back occasionally, and twist it pretty deep. You don't get to that point of power in the political system or even in big business without really screwing people over. And to get really high up, like the Clintons are, you got to kill people. So flip-flopping, I guess, isn't really the biggest deal, to flip-flop politically one way or another. And I know those little liberals are going to tell me, well, Christopher, she's always been pro-gay. She's been a pro-gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender supporter since day one. But she just couldn't do it because politically she had to kind of just say a white lie to get there. Well, you know what? If you have to say white lies to actually be a politician, or if you have to lie directly to become a politician, why would you even want to be a politician if you've got to lie to get there? There's no integrity in that. There's no integrity in killing people. There's no integrity in flip-flopping every which way as soon as something is convenient for you. So you can say, politics. I'm playing politics. And so, Hillary Clinton literally has the lesbian, bisexual, and transgender community literally on their knees now. On their knees. Like, just kissing her feet, maybe doing something else if you put your mind to it, or maybe you want to use your imagination because, hey, now that she's flip-flopped, you got a lot of gay pride people on the bandwagon now. I mean, Hillary, she likes gay people. This is a big deal. I mean, and this is what America really cares about. I mean, we don't care about the fact that the country is structurally insolvent. We don't care about that Cyprus has just given us a sneak peek. You know, that little country kind of borders Greece and Turkey, that small little island, that little itty-bitty island no one really gives a shit about. No one really cares that, you know, the European banking cartel is clipping depositors with insurance, with FDIC-type insurance, 10% on their accounts. They don't care that this is happening in the United States. What they care about is gay pride. That's the biggest 2016 objective, Christopher, is lesbian, bisexual, gay, and transgender is on the docket. And that's such a big issue. It's the only thing that we are going to care about in 2016. So, you know, that's the big story. That's the shebang. That's all she wrote coming on up. So we got a lot of gay issues to really look forward to while Rome burns to the ground. While this country literally, if it wasn't a piece of shit before, now is a rotted turd inside and out that literally has been lit on fire and smashed all over our faces. And it's being rubbed in by Hillary now. Like, hey, don't worry about, you know, the fact that their bank runs are starting and we're structurally printing so much money that the dollar, you can just wipe your ass with it. I'm just going to rub some poop all over your face here. Hope it's cool. Hope you understand. But I do have a platform for lesbian, bisexual, gays, and transgenders. Would you like to hear about that? So pretty interesting. And we put out a ton of content, a ton of videos. And quite frankly, I wouldn't normally say this, but I think that we have been hitting it out of the park lately. And I'm actually kind of surprised our content, although I think it's getting a lot of views, isn't getting more. Quite frankly, Topher Morrison came out with a video yesterday, Feinstein's War on Reason, a study, Feinstein's War on Reason. Check it out. Great video. I thought he killed it. I thought he literally hit the ball out of the park. I put a video out, DHS prepares to invade the United States. I thought that was one of my more simplistic, telling warning shots across the bow. Paul Revere moments in the history of probably myself being in video production. Get these videos out. You know, why are they sitting at 8,000, 10,000 views or wherever they're at? Let's get this information out to the American people, much like we did. And I've thanked, and I want to thank again all of you for sharing The Executive. I had a slow couple of first weeks. I mean, literally just kind of gets out there dinking around, and then it all of a sudden exploded. And explodes over to 160,000 plus views and growing daily. I think when all is said and done, especially as, you know, history goes to work, this thing will probably get 500,000 more or maybe even 1 million plus views, which is, I think, is fantastic because, you know, what we're concerned about here isn't our own popularity. Care less about that. I mean, in a lot of respects, I'm probably the most unpopular person on the political sphere or in the political system itself. It's about getting the message out. I mean, that's what I care about. We've had another video that I put out not too long ago called Surveillance State, which I personally, not to toot my own horn, honestly think it's one of my best pieces of work I've ever done. I think it's a great piece of work. And it talks about everything on the minds of Americans today with Google Glass. It's a full-blown investigation of what that surveillance state looks like. I think it's an eye-opening piece. I've seen anybody cover it in as much detail as we did here at AMTV, and I personally covered myself. Please share this video. It kind of has reminded me of The Executive. It's only up to 7,000 views right now. 7,000 views, which is just honestly crazy considering it's a fantastic look into what Google Glass means and how this is transforming and transhumanizing our society. and clearly discusses the pros and cons of what it means to be human, the cyborging of our society, how this translates into almost like a Star Trek sci-fi world that is literally creating our own hell on earth without most Americans even realizing it. You know, thinking that we need this technology when in reality, yeah, is it enhanced part of our lives? Is technology purely evil? Of course not. But to not understand and fully realize that this technology is also extremely dangerous is to be, quite frankly, an idiot, is to be, quite frankly, the dumbest person on the planet. So please watch this video if you haven't already. I mean, it's had rave reviews, but only 7,000 views. Quite frankly, that's pathetic. That's pathetic. It honestly just kind of makes me throw my hands up in the air sometimes. Like, well, you know, I'm glad I spent, you know, hours upon hours upon hours of my life really owning in on something that I cared about, that was passionate about. For people just to be like, eh. But I think that's also telling, and it's also showing you that this algorithm here, the YouTube algorithm, the Google monopoly, quite frankly, is getting stronger in the respect that it's starting to force out and honestly punish a lot of the creative content that comes from AMTV, et cetera, and preventing it from seeding properly within their video system and within and on the World Wide Web today. It's becoming a lot more fragmented, cluttered, and dominated by what we thought was going to be, you know, hey, the alternative media, awesome, which we are front runners in. It's why I started AMTV 3 years ago. But to think that we're not going to get shut out by big business, by the CNNs and the Googles of the world, that, again, let me remind you, have a full-blown monopoly on content, again, is just to be an idiot. And that is why it's so important for you to share our work. People say, hey, Chris, you're just tooting your own horn. You don't have to tell me to share my work. Yes, I do. I have to tell you to share our work. If you don't, it doesn't get out there. And it makes the message pointless if the message isn't heard. So I'm really striving, and I especially have been striving over the past 30 days or so to really connect the dots and connect with as many more like-minded people, organizations, radio platforms, video platforms, activists, personalities, hackers. I don't care who you are. You want to help us with the message of liberty, and you want to help us get the word out to the American people and the people of the world. Drop me a line. Send me an email. info@amtvmedia.com. Send me a line or just visit our website at amtvmedia.com. Hit the contact button, and let's figure out how we can grow together because, you know, we can't do this stuff alone. So please, I want to reemphasize, and I'm not just, you know, wanting you to think about it. I am asking on air, please, you want to know how you can help? People ask me all the time, Christopher, how can I help? What can I do? It seems like I can't do anything. You know, the Feinstein's coming after the guns, and there's nothing to do, and this authoritative police state is taking over, and then people are like hopeless and they don't want to do anything. Well, I'm telling you right now, one thing you can do, and I'm asking you to do, is watch Surveillance State if you haven't already. Watch it, like it, favorite it, share it. Email it to your friends and family. If you've got a website or you traffic websites or you've got friends and you like to visit certain types of sites, then post it there, embed it there, get it up, link it back to YouTube, link it back to our channel, get the word out. That's one way that you are instrumental, and our audience, quite frankly, has always been instrumental to our growth and to our success. It's been you guys, every single one of you tuning in, with the passion for not just what we're doing, but for the passion of liberty and getting that message out to the American people. And I feel that is the most important thing. And every day I try to abide by that ideology, if we want to call it an ideology. It's probably a bad word, in terms of getting the truth out. Now, you know, me ranting and raving about Hillary flip-flop Clinton, you know, it's funny. I'll talk about it. And I'm very hard and the content that I produce is not politically correct. It's not supposed to be. I mean, hey, if the kitchen's too hot, you can't handle the fire, get the hell out, quite frankly. But it's funny, I'll do videos like this, and actually nobody's taken it that way. That's how smart you guys actually are. But, occasionally people are like, hey, Chris, why are you bashing the gays? Or why are you doing this? I'm not bashing the gays. I'm bashing a loser politician named Hillary Clinton that could give two Fs about gay rights or human rights in general. That's what I'm bashing. I'm bashing a lack of integrity. I'm bashing a friggin' sad, depressed, power, money-hungry loser who stayed with her husband after she humiliated her in the public because he was screwing around with a lady named Monica Lewinsky and sticking his cigar up her schwang. That's what I'm rallying against or railing against. Just the pure and utter ludicrous nature and hypocrisy of these people. I mean, these people, honestly, the only way that they can look themselves in the mirror is if they have Satan in their eyes, because these people are just pure evil. And there's some, in my opinion, to be some of the most detestable, vile, non-human insects on the planet today. Just these annoying, just virulent insects spreading the black plague of death, infecting the minds of our children. I mean, is that what Hillary Clinton's supposed to be, guys? Is that what she's supposed to be, a role model? A role model to young women today? She talks about her husband, I never thought Bill Clinton didn't love me while he was, finger banging that chick. I hate to be so, again, crass, but hey, this is the truth, the bloody, ugly, hard-hitting truth. I'll be right back. Everybody stay tuned. I'm Christopher Green, hard-hitting and in your face. My Hillary, love you. So we're having a little fun today. I put out a video called Hillary Flip-Flop Clinton Turns Gay. And, our audience, you guys are very smart. And so, I'm drilling in at just the hypocrisy of who Hillary Clinton is. Her sudden, convenient flip-flop. Anti-gay one moment, pro-gay the next. That's funny, y'all read through some of the comments. People are like, hey, are you a bigot, Christopher? Do you not like gay people or something? Come on, man. This isn't an anti-gay rant. It's nothing of the sort. What honestly angers me and honestly gets my goat is losers like Hillary Clinton using the gay community for her own benefit. When this lady has no love and no support and could give 2 cents or 2 you-know-whats about these people. It's all about her political ploy and convenient timing so she can run for the 2016 presidency. And, in my opinion, will win. In my opinion, will win. As we talked about in the last election, Republicans, even the mainstream Republican Party, in my opinion, no longer exist. We are a one-party country now, basically a party of tyranny, quite frankly, in my opinion, whether or not you want to lump it together with the liberals or not. The Republican ideology, and I'm liking that word today, but the Republican ideology, quite frankly, just does not resonate, as liberals will tell me themselves. And I think they're right. Doesn't resonate with the people because it's not bailout-oriented. Well, it is. I take that back. Both parties are bailout oriented. Both parties are part of the problem. But what I'm trying to get at here is, I don't know if I'm doing the best job of it at this particular moment, but what I'm trying to get at is there is only one party today in America. And if mainstream Republicans didn't look and take that away as the takeaway from the last election, then you're not paying attention. And that's the problem. That's a problem. See, I don't come on the air. I'm not defending one party over the other. I'm not pro-Republican, anti-Republican. I'm not pro-Democrat. I'm not anti-Democrat. I'm anti-tyranny. I'm for freedom. I'm for liberty. I consider myself a libertarian, but even that to me is a little bit too much of an ideology. Let's lump ourselves into the basket Even though I consider myself a libertarian, I think it's funny how human nature has to classify everything. Take being gay, for example. I'm married. I'm black. I'm white. I'm Christian. I'm Catholic. I'm Jewish. I'm Muslim. I'm straight. I'm gay. I'm a baseball fan. I'm a basketball fan. I'm an athlete. I'm this. I'm a musician. I'm that. And we want to classify and organize everything around us, including religion, which in my opinion is an attempt just to basically try to explain the, one thing no one can really prove/disprove or understand. And that's not an attack on religion in any way, but it's just kind of another example, in my opinion, of people trying to explain everything, trying to, put it into the perfect little pretty box with a bow tie or a little bow on top and go, see, that's how the world works. It's all perfect, isn't it? Spray it with a little cologne and a little of this, make it smell all good, and then present it on a silver platter for the American people to swallow. And I don't think things are necessarily as clear cut as that. I think that, there's a lot about life and a lot about humanity that is a little gray, where there is a gray area. We certainly have the phone lines open, so I see we got a few in the caller queue at the moment. I'll go to those calls in a minute. Just to remind you, our caller line, 218-339-8525, 218-339-8525. So I want to emphasize again, this is a systemic problem. This isn't Democrat, Republican, because I can already foresee the comments we're going to get on this archive broadcast, like, oh, you're defending Republicans. You're not defending Republicans. You're defending Democrats. You're not defending Democrats. You're defending gays. You're not defending. I mean, look, the problem that we have is a systemic, structural, diseased problem in America today. And it's not just America, it's the world. It's what we're seeing in Europe. It's what we're seeing with Cyprus. I'm going to be digging into this specifically in a moment. Which none of this blows my mind, although, it should blow your mind if this is new to you. But again, I've understood for some time that I'm being raped and stolen from by people like Hillary Clinton. I understand that clearly. When John Corzine, former CEO and governor of New Jersey and close Obama confidant, decides he's going to rape the American people, stick his big you-know-what up your butt, and go, you know what, because I made bad derivative bets in the billions of dollars range and it didn't work out for me, I'm going to steal from you, the little guy, and literally, not figuratively, but literally bankrupt and liquidate your account with my firm, which is exactly what he did. Close confidant, obviously, and friend of President Barack Obama, huge supporter, has helped organize over $500,000 of funding from himself and his Wall Street cronies. Over the history of his giving, his family has given over $900,000, almost $1 million, to the Democratic Party. Gave a maximum contribution for the the recent re-election campaign for President Barack Obama. Even hosted the event at his mansion. Again, you are who your friends are. Let me repeat that. You are who your friends are. It's why I like to build the associations in your mind and be like, look, and I'll show the picture. Like, look, these guys are buddy. Yeah, John Corzine, the rapist. I don't know if he's literally raping people, but he is raping people financially. The guy walking scot-free, Obama loves, man. Obama has said, and I'm going to kind of butcher some of the quotes, although I put it in yesterday's video, but basically said that John Corzine is the most respectable guy he's ever known. Vote John Corzine. He's all a part of Corzine's campaign for governor, et cetera, et cetera. They say things like, hey, the apple don't fall far from the tree. You are who your friends are. This couldn't be any more clear. So, none of this is a surprise to me. Look, guys, I was a Wall Street guy for over a decade. A young guy, albeit, but got started really early. I've been to the best schools, private schools, public schools, et cetera. I've been all over the country, lived in Washington, D.C. I've schmoozed with these people. I know these people. I know them well. I know their program. I know they're greedy, manipulative tactics. I remember, when I got started with YouTube, people were like, hey, Christopher, you can't say that about these people. You can't say that about that company. You're not going to be allowed to do that. I'm like, really? Why not? Just kind of called their bluff, went on camera, basically in the basement at the time, and just started basically giving the truth out. Like, look, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, these people are screwing you over. It's wrong. This is coming from a guy that was in the business. One of the few that, just had, I guess had the balls to speak up. I really don't think like I got massive balls per se. Like the balls are bigger than most people. I don't view myself as some, oh, I'm the greatest guy since sliced bread. No, I was just honestly doing what was right. Like, look, something's wrong here. Doesn't smell right. Doesn't look right. These people are raping the American public and the people around the world. People are losing their life savings. Maybe I should say something. So, got on camera and people were just like, oh, you can't do that. And, all the jeering too and like the laughter, like, well, what a loser, like YouTube. Who's laughing now, bitches? Is kind of what I have to say now, even though I really don't feel that way, but it's kind of funny. Now everybody's like, oh shit, social media is huge, man. How do I get involved in that? It's like, well, we didn't really get involved in it to be cool. We got involved in it to deliver a message, which brings me to Cyprus. What do I think about Cyprus? Now, there's a very important video I'd like you to watch if you haven't already. Peter Schiff, he's a guy I don't know extremely well, but I do know, and I've interviewed him a few times. I've had the pleasure of speaking with him and, meeting him one-to-one. We met him and interviewed him at the, wasn't CPAC. I was just thinking of that because that's going on now, but was at the Republican National Convention in Tampa Bay. We got a lot of good footage. In fact, I got and snuck 2 interviews with him, and even got to talk to him a little bit behind the scenes at one of the Ron Paul events, kind of at the kind of post-party bar, just kind of get an idea. But he's a guy to me who he knows what's going on. He knows he understands. He's a Wall Street guy who's still in the Wall Street game. So he's got to play that game a little bit. I have tremendous respect for Peter Schiff. I also understand he's running a business. We got to understand that too. So, he's got his angles and his things that he's working, but in my opinion, they're all for very good causes. And from what I've seen from the man firsthand up until this point, this guy's for real. He's a man of integrity. And he stands by his word, and he's got the track record to back it up. So he's somebody that I respect his work. And so I'll watch a lot of his content, and I try to watch most of it. But he put out a very important video on Cyprus yesterday. And he was talking about the fact that, people are getting all panties in a bunch right now. The panties are getting all swirly around, a little sweaty down there. People are like, oh, my God. 10% clipped out of my bank account, which is exactly what happened. If you have over more than $100,000, you literally woke up over the weekend and Angela Merkel, that big head honcho of the European banking cartel, just literally drove a baseball bat up your ass. It was just like, look, I'm going to rape you today. We got to pay for bailouts, and we can't really print over here in the Eurozone. I eat like a pig. I'm grotesquely obese and overweight, and I look like a man, and I need to feed the machine. So she basically took a gigantic baseball bat, didn't even lube it. I mean, what a bitch, right? No lube, shoves it right up the asses of every Cyprus bank account over in that little itty-bitty country near Greece that no American, every American's like us. Cyprus, never even heard of it, man. Like, that's not going to happen here, which is exactly why Angela Merkel and the rest of her cronies are starting to shelter specific losses over in Cyprus, at least to start. Because just like I said, no one really cares about Cyprus. It's a great place to shelter and to kind of buffer this fragmentation at the moment and this anal raping. I don't know why, we've been talking a little bit about the lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender community today. Well, Angela Merkel, she seems to be, on the same page with people like Hillary Clinton. So you wake up over the weekend and 10% is just raped out of you. You're feeling a little lighter. But you need one of those pillows to kind of put down on your behind and your bottom. Otherwise, you're kind of in pain. And this, there's a lot of uproar. I'm reading articles in, the Wall Street Journal, which I don't pick up a paper anymore because that's kind of a bankrupt enterprise. But, I'm online or I'm reading Forbes, and there's all these, people all up in arms, like they should be doing a better job monetizing the debt over there or manipulating interest rates. But how dare they take 10% of total deposits that have, by the way, insurance, much like FDIC, how that works here, which, by the way, if you don't already know, FDIC, which is supposed to back your deposits here in the United States, they raised it a few notches during 2008 to give, the Joe Blow guy getting raped by the machine here in the United States a little bit more confidence. During the financial crash, it doesn't have the reserves at all to actually replenish you any losses that you may incur here in the United States. I mean, the whole banking system itself, fractional reserve banking, is in and of itself a structurally bankrupt, insolvent enterprise. I mean, if you show up and everyone else shows up at the bank right now, in fact, if we just organize this, and I'm like, hey, let's go to the bank and get our money out, they're literally going to deadpan you in the eye and be like, we don't got it. And you'll ask why, like, hey, why don't you have it? And they'll be like, well, it's called fractional reserve banking. You see, what we do is we take $1, and they'll draw this out for you. They'll take a piece of paper because they're going to kind of play dumb to you. And they'll be like, okay, see, you took the $1 that you deposited here, Mr. Customer, and we lent out $10. Okay? And then we created those $10 out of thin air, by the way. And then those $10 we loaned out at interest so we could make a greedy profit. Not that profit is inherently greedy, but it is when you're creating it out of thin air. What you're doing is running what I would call a Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. But no big deal. So took the $10, gave it to 10 people. Those 10 people deposited the fake, created out of thin air dollars that came out of nowhere, just kind of poofed like a fart out of the butts of the big banks after you gave them their dollar, and deposit those same $10, $1 out of $10 each in 10 other banks. And then they repeat the process over into infinity and call it a day and report their financial statement, coming into quarter 1, 2, 3, or 4, like, hey, we did a good job. Look at all the loans we wrote this quarter. Look at the sheer profit. And then they go out like John Thain, former CEO of Merrill Lynch, and they buy a golden toilet. Getting right into it today, and we're talking about the people of Cyprus being butt raped by Angela Merkel and the European gang bankers, as I like to call them. The video, we had a few of you ask, hey, what was the Peter Schiff video, Christopher, you were talking about? I want to watch it. Peter Schiff video, because I'm doing a little promo on the spot for Peter Schiff here, is insured. It's titled Insured Bank Deposits at Risk, America Burns While Obama Golfs. Again, that's Insured Bank Deposits at Risk, America Burns While Obama Golfs. So he detailed, it's about 16 minutes. I was watching it late last night, just kind of playing it out loud, and a few friends listening to it with me. And what I really enjoyed about the report that I thought Peter Schiff did just an excellent job explaining is that you've got all these people up in arms over the 10% haircut. The fact that they supposedly have FDIC insurance, but they just got stiff-armed with a giant baseball bat up their butts. Angela Merkel just like, hey, we're going to rape you today. But everyone's up in arms about this. But see, what the American people don't understand, Peter Schiff was talking about this, that actually what's happening in Cyprus, which very much is kind of like a beta test of sorts. Again, they're buffering. They're going to shelter some of that risk over in that small island that no one really cares about, kind of see what happens. Because at some point, the contagion's going to spread everywhere. Like AIDS, everybody's going to get infected because all these countries are banging each other, and they're not wearing condoms. They're all in the debt. All of them are all in it. Everybody that's a part of the Eurozone that's gone along with these bailouts is all insolvent and dramatically bankrupt, just like Greece. The minute Germany went all in and was like, hey, man, we're going to help you out, Greece. Here's a bailout. The minute Spain, Portugal, Ireland, Italy, all these countries went all in, they caught the disease. They caught the Black Plague. So they're all dead long term. I mean, this European Union, I mean, I've kind of joked about it, through the years. I mean, this thing how long did the European Union last? I mean, this is a really crappy experiment that, barely lasted, the length of a small child's life. I mean, literally just bit the dust and collapsed overnight. And we're supposed to trust these officials. But back to what Peter Schiff was saying, and I thought he put it very simplistically and very eloquently, which is tough to do. Be simple and get to the point. What's your friggin' point? Well, the point is, what Americans don't realize or understand is that 10% haircut that Cyprus and Cyprus depositors have taken is actually a healthier way. You're being raped. I mean, I'm not going to, argue that. You're being raped, but that's actually a healthier way of addressing the debt crisis than what we're currently doing. In fact, if we were just to fess up, if the Federal Reserve here in the United States, look, we screwed up, we're going to have to take haircuts. The banks are going to have to take haircuts. We've got to dissolve the big banks because they're insolvent. We got to work through this stuff, and even the people are going to have to take it a little bit on the chin. That to me is capitalism at work. That is very much a Darwinian survival of the fittest. That's how capitalism's supposed to work. You make bad decisions, you go bankrupt, you mismanage your company. Well, sorry, you go out of business, right? That's how it works. If you're invested in a bank that has risk to it, and your deposits have a probability of risk, and then you lose money, well, then that's a risk that you bore yourself. You took on that risk. Now, many, of course, Cyprus investors didn't know any of this going in because they're living in the facade of bailouts and, Happy Gilmore style, free flow of money everywhere, every which way. But the problem is, what's more insidious, and this is the point, what's more insidious than these haircuts, what we're seeing, is the inflation that is being created here by yours truly, the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, all of these politicians right up down the line, President Barack Obama and everybody else controlling or influencing our central bank. That is far more insidious than these haircuts. In fact, Americans are losing a lot more than 10%. A lot more. You're just not seeing it as a haircut. You're not waking up and seeing your $100,000 go to $90,000. But in terms of real value and real worth, that $100,000 isn't worth the paper it was printed on, because the Federal Reserve is creating massive inflation. And unless you are hedging that inflation or in something tangible, anything, I mean, it can be anything, not just gold and silver, even though all of you know I'm a proponent of gold and silver. And it's a great hedged inflation, and it's got it's a physical item that has a historical precedent. But it's not just gold and silver. It's stocks are going to keep ahead with inflation. I don't really fool around with stocks anymore just because I don't believe in it structurally. I don't believe in the structural insolvency of the system. But stocks will perform better. Land, real estate, any assets are going to perform better in an environment where inflation is rearing its ugly head. So a 10% loss, quite frankly, should sound great to most Americans, because in the next few years and within the past few years, you might be taking 20, 30, 40, 50%, who knows, bigger losses, and not even be realizing it, because the American people are like, well, I still got 100,000 in my account. Yeah, but that $100,000 is really worth 40,000 due to all the inflation in terms of real value. You know, we give you those dramatic images of like Zimbabwe, where they have, the run on the banks and the hyperinflation. They're carrying around wheelbarrows and painting the walls and the toilets with the paper because it's not worth the paper it was printed on. That's what's happening in the United States today. It's another reason why, and again, I stay out of this stuff now. This is not something that I really do or even want to do. anymore. But that's why, in my opinion, the stock market could very easily go to 18,000. We could be looking at Dow 18.5 in the next few years. But doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter when inflation is at the core, which is providing us the mirage. It's like, we're out in the middle of the desert and we're thirsty and, we're about to die and we start seeing, oh, there's water there. No, there's not. You are being led to slaughter by this regime. 10% haircut? You would be lucky to get a 10% haircut. This regime is going to cut you down 100%, which is exactly what's happening. And the hard truth is that most of America, after already being bankrupted by the system itself, having lost their 401ks, their Roth IRAs, taken significant whacks to their brokerage accounts, a decline in their standard of living, foreclosures en masse, short sales, bankruptcies, etc. Now that they've looted you completely, and now that you don't have the same assets or maybe any assets at all, now you're going to be raped even harder over the next few years through the insidious nature of what is defined as inflation. You think you've been raped so far? Wait until you get raped over the next few years. It's not going to be a baseball bat. It'll be a train they'll be ramming up your butt. That is the severity of what's happening. And people won't understand this. I mean, a lot of people that I know, especially the big Obama liberal supporters, they won't understand this until that 100,000, just using that as an example, is worth nothing. And then they'll be like, you know what, honey, I was getting raped over the past 5 years, and I didn't even know it. So that to me is a very big fundamental driving point I wanted to bring home to you. I got a few minutes before the next break. I'm going to start taking calls. Let's go to our first caller now. This is a 480, looks like a local call. Hi, you're on the air. What's on your mind?
Hey, Chris. I just wanted to see what your take is on, with the financial stuff going on in Cyprus and everything else. Do you think things are going to happen, I don't know, much quicker in the United States now? I'm getting a little worried. My father's getting ready to retire, and, they were just telling me, they're setting up a bank account, and his retirement's going to go in there. And then I hear this, a day later. So I'm worried for, what's my father going to do if they just decide to tax or take the money, and then, everything just hits the fan, because I'm sure everyone's going to freak out, and who knows what's going to happen to the economy after that.
Yeah, well, to answer your question, what I'm concerned about personally is inflation. I think that is what most Americans should be concerned about. So are we operating in a Ponzi scheme? Yes. Is there contagion? Will there be contagion in Europe? Will there ultimately be contagion in the United States? Yes. That's something that, in my opinion, I think you can count on. But the system itself can last a lot longer than you might think, or maybe I might think. And, as I was talking about over the past few minutes, I think the markets could go a lot higher. Things have been rallying quite feverishly, really, the past few months, the past few years. We could even argue off the trough of S&P intraday 666. I remember seeing that when I was, a trader at Merrill Lynch at the time. But I think what we really need to be focused on here is there's inflation, and expect massive inflation going forward. So what I mean by that, and what I'm not giving investment advice because it's not the business of what I do, but in my opinion, you need to hedge that inflation. So being invested in anything is a better bet than being cash. And so hold on, and I'm going to finish this question when we get back because it's an important one. And I'm going to go to the call. So stay tuned. Hold on. We'll be right back.